Sometimes when we look for an expert in the field or somebody who has not only experience but knowledge, we have to look no farther than our own club. So is the case today. So I'm pleased to turn the stage over to Bob Lowdermilk to talk about the history of transportation in Colorado. Bob Lowdermilk.
Thank you. This is up here where you can hear me very well? Yep. Okay. When the California Gold Rush started in 1849, Colorado was thought of as a land of barrier mountains. No one wanted Colorado. California-bound travelers went around our mountains through what is now Wyoming or New Mexico. All that changed in 1848 or 49 when gold was found in Cherry Creek and news of it traveled east. The first prospectors to get to Colorado panned and sluiced the most accessible mountain streams, stream gravels. Later prospectors discovered hard rock deposits that required tunneling and smelting equipment to remove the gold. But most prospectors who found large gold deposits sold them to investors who brought in the large, expensive equipment necessary for mining and processing ore. Colorado mining had two problems: how to get the valuable ores out and how to get the mining equipment to the mines. Original records from the 1870s indicate that the average freight rate for hauling ore by mule train on the narrow horse paths and rut-filled wagon roads from the San Juan Mountains to Pueblo smelters was about $100 per ton. This equates to several $1,000s a ton today. The efficient answer was to build railroads. With the coming of the Civil War, Lincoln decided to tie the eastern and western parts of the United States together and authorized the Transcontinental Railroad. The construction of the 1,776-mile road of steel occurred between 1863 and 1869. In 1867, the Union Pacific's Transcontinental Railroad bypassed Colorado and went through Cheyenne, Wyoming. Businessmen and investors left Denver in droves. To counteract this, Denver boosters talked Congress into donating 900,000 acres to secure railroad right-of-way. This allowed the Denver Pacific to acquire loans and build a 106-mile track from Denver to Cheyenne. On June 24th, 1870, the first Denver Pacific train arrived from Cheyenne, and Denver was linked to the world. 2 months later, the Kansas Pacific arrived in Denver from Kansas City and St. Louis. Shortly afterwards, many more railroads arrived, and Denver became our state's transportation hub. General William Jackson Palmer had been construction manager for the Kansas Pacific. When that line was finished in Denver, he immediately began constructing his own railroad, the Denver and Rio Grande. The Rio Grande's initial goal was to run south, parallel to the east side of the Rocky Mountains, and join Denver to the railroads in Mexico. General Palmer planned to extend feeder lines west into the mining areas of the Rockies. The Rio Grande's narrow gauge tracks proved so successful that narrow gauge became the standard for Colorado's mountains. But the Rio Grande's goal of uniting with Mexican railroads stopped at Raton Pass, where on February of 1878, the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe, seeking the same route, hired local gunfighters and won the first railroad war without firing a shot. In 1879, silver was found in Leadville. Both railroads sought to service Leadville by laying their tracks through the narrow Royal Gorge, causing a second railroad war. The Rio Grande had learned and hired its own gunfighters. On March the 20th, 1879, I'm looking at these slides on a computer and something just occurred. On March the 20th, 1879, the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe strengthened their forces by hiring Bat Masterson, Doc Holliday, and several other gunfighters. Masterson's forces were successful through early June, but on June the 10th, the 4th Judicial Circuit ruled in favor of the Denver and Rio Grande. Sheriffs from the towns along the railroad enforced the ruling, and eventually the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe's garrisons were defeated. And
Ignore the warning. Just keep going, in other words.
it what? All right. Okay, that's all. All right. And the Atchison, Topeka, and the Rio Grande won the Royal Gorge. The Colorado Central Railroad carved its way up Clear Creek. Clear Creek Canyon.